The mediator welcomes both parties to the mediation session and introduces himself. The mediator thanks the parties for choosing to use mediation as a possible solution of their dispute. After a formal introduction, the mediator explains the principles of mediation, in particular confidentiality, impartiality of the mediator, voluntary basis of mediation, and the rules of a mediation session. Both parties are asked to approve the rules and whether they need any explanation of the principles of mediation. There are no questions. The mediator stresses the fact that all the principles have been described and explained in the written contract that has been signed before the session. The mediator also explains that both parties are the only ones who are responsible and able to find the solution of their mediation. After this introduction, the mediator asks whether there are any questions.
Thank you for agreeing on a place and time to meet and for being present today and very accurate. Thank you both. Now, as you know, my name is Georgi Olenkov. You could freely call me Georgi, I prefer first names. And I do work for CDR Associates as a professional mediator. It would be my honor today to assist you in trying to solve your commercial dispute amicably. Now, just very briefly, prior to beginning with the actual negotiation, I ought to say that today we'll be reasoning out solutions for your commercial dispute so that the present situation within the company you're holding together will be altered in a way that will not affect adversely any third parties, the functioning of the company itself, or the provision of quality services, which you both stated in the pre-mediation discussions and as being of utmost importance for you. So now I ought to say that mediation is an entirely voluntary process. You're here because this is your business decision and your willingness to try to reason out jointly solutions for what you're facing. I do not have the authority, nor will I attempt at any point to make any decisions on your behalf. I'm not here as a judge or an arbitrator. And also, I will try to maintain throughout the whole session my utmost impartiality. So please know that I do not hold any preconceived biases towards any solution to your commercial dispute or towards one of you over the other. So should at any time you feel that my impartiality is compromised, please bring this behavior to my attention and I'll try to alter it. Once more, you're here because this is your mediation. At any point, you may decide to stop negotiations, replace the mediator, which I strongly advise you against, and also pursue other means of settlement, though I strongly encourage you to give a chance to our meeting today. So, the floor will be yours in a minute, but first, just two procedural guidelines. The first one being the following. At some point, you may want some break from the joint session and you may wish to meet with me privately in a separate meeting or the so-called caucus, where we shall discuss matters that, for instance, you feel uncomfortable to bring out in the joint discussion. This is an option for you, so keep it in mind. And also, what my experience tells me is that it's good to start in the very beginning of the session with some uninterrupted, equal time for either party to explain their perspective, how they perceive the case at hand, what brought them to mediation. So should this idea for uninterrupted equal time be okay with you?
Absolutely.
I would like to begin in this way. All right, then thank you. I think we can start. And Mr. Sharp, you were the initiator of this session, so maybe you could begin with the elaboration. But prior to that, just tell me who you are, what brings you to mediation today, and give the floor to Mrs. Smith to do the same. Then, if that is okay with Mrs. Smith, you can begin with your elaboration.
Okay, thank you. So, my name is Jan Sharp, and I'm the shareholder of the company No Need to Pay Limited. I have the 50% of the shares, and
I have the other 50%.
Yeah, she's
of the shares.
That's
My
the
name
problem.
is-
That's the biggest problem.
Well, my name is Julia Smith, shareholder in No Need to Pay.
Yep. Unfortunately.
All right, so please.
So the company, we are working in the field of the tax optimization and tax consulting, and we established the company in 1992. From the beginning, the company was working very well. We earned a lot of money. We have a lot of clients, and the business was increasing very highly and very rapidly, I would say. So both of us were very happy. We earned a lot of money, so we just started to do another businesses. We bought 4 houses, so we work in the real estate area as well. And also we do the training for the tax professionals. This is the activity of our company right now and from the beginning. According to the fact that the business increased very largely and very rapidly, we divided our activities between us. We are both tax professionals, so we provided our clients we used to provide our clients with our services. And I'm specialized in the client acquisitions, and she is supposed to work in the area of real estate and the training. So that's the basic situation right now. And everything was working perfectly. Very long time. We were kind of happy, I would say. We were friends. Everything was perfect. About 1 year ago, something happened. I really don't know what, but something happened. We are not able to cooperate. We are not able to work together. We are not able to communicate. And right now the situation is that I'm the only one who works for the clients from the beginning till the end. I'm the only one who makes the profit of the company, and I'm the only one who does all the activities of the company. And she doesn't do anything. She's saying, I'm working for the real estate things and the training, but it's not sufficient. Right now, I don't want to be useful idiot anymore. I'm the only one who earns the money, and she's just getting almost 50% of the profit. No, that's the truth.
Are you kidding me?
Do I look like that?
You're the only one.
Yeah, I'm the only one who earns the money, the whole money. So I'm the only one who works 24 hours.
Where do you think the money comes from? I'm sorry
from
for
the clients.
being
From the
curious,
clients, I get the clients. I work for the clients. All the clients. We are the taxation. We are the company that works for the client.
We are a training company.
Training company. It's a
professional.
completely different company than I have.
Well, then maybe we have different companies.
Yeah, it seems to be. So let's finish this, settle it down. I will get the money and get rid of this company. I will with you completely.
If I may step in, I think this was useful. This little confrontation to just
not only useful. It's
let some steam go off. So now
I don't know.
At such times, I always bring the parties back to the procedure that we chose together, and the procedure was the following: each party talks uninterrupted. And then the other party explains. So please, as you know, a pencil and a pad have been distributed to both of you. So while the other party is speaking in this very beginning of the session, please jot down any observation or remark you have. We will discuss it in detail, I assure you. So thank you for this. And now, Mr. Sharp, do you wish to elaborate on anything further, or?
I think the most important things were said, but right now I'm the only one who works for the company, who earns the money. So I think I deserve 70% of the profit, and I think we are not ready to cooperate. Yeah, 70%. Yeah, that's the thing.
70%.
Yeah,
like
7%.
7%. Like 7.
Yeah, I know the number. Yeah.
Because it's not 70. I'm sorry, it's not 70 that you deserve.
70 is 70.
No.
You
don't deserve
you
the
have to
70.
see it, you know it.
I do not know anything that's
So
not
now
based
you
on
know.
the facts.
Now you know.
No, I have
So
the facts.
could you just tell her that make some notes or something? I'm the one who's in charge right now.
Tell both of you that we should stick to the procedure. I know it's hard. I know you mentioned, both of you actually mentioned, even though Mrs. Smith still hasn't got the chance to explain her perspective, you mentioned this communication discrepancy between the two of you. It is visible right now, and I see it's difficult to start discussing in such an informal manner through mediation. But please, let us try in the beginning to stick to the procedure tightly. And Mr. Sharp, could you just continue if there is anything else you'd like to bring about?
Maybe that's all. I'm just the one who's working, so I think I deserve 70% of the profit.
All right, so to echo what you said and what I think grasped from your presentation, and to recap it, you are concerned that there is unequal division of labor within the company
And profit.
and even though you noted that prior to the discrepancy that occurred 1 year ago, everything was functioning, or if I quote you here, working perfectly. So right now, of course, methods altered in such a way that you would like to sell the company and to divide the profit 70 to 30. Is this a fair recap of what you...
I think it's not only fair recap, but fair settlement as well.
All right, so thank you for this. And now I would like to ask Mrs. Smith to present her perspective.
Well, there's not much to say. Thank you for that. And yes, it is. It was and it still is very harsh for me to be here to address those issues. But we are where we are, and we need to confront what brought us here today. I can agree that yes, we initially were very profitable, shareholders of no need to pay LTD. We set it up as a business adventure, I would say. Part of the business plan at the beginning was that what we'll be doing is tax consultations, and yes, Mr. Sharp, all acknowledgement to him, is good at that. I'm also good into this. So we were having clients and servicing them with our tax optimization structures. But that was at the very early stages of the company's development. Later on, we moved on to the real estate management. And today that's like another aspect of the company. I would say like a separate division. It's like a subdivision of the company. An entirely different business from tax services that we used to, and we still are providing. That's no question to that.
I am providing.
And that's today.
Yep.
But in addition to today's work, we also have trainings for tax professionals, and that's entirely on my shoulders. This is part of the business that I'm in charge of, and I think that perhaps because Mr. Sharp doesn't get to see it day to day, he probably doesn't even know that it exists. But if you look into the accounting, you would see that a lot of the cash flow comes from those trainings that we provide for tax professionals.
No, sorry, Mr. Mayor, but I have to say something about that because I have the documentation, the tax documentation. There is no profit, no huge at all huge profit from this branch of our enterprise company. Nothing. This is just
okay.
The 30%. This is okay. 70-30. I don't have a problem with that.
Because I've heard the 70% number before. Like this has been on the table always, and I don't see it. Like for him, it seems like everything's about money, like money, and no intention whatsoever to look into the matter and where we are. We have a potential with this company. He just doesn't get to see it because he doesn't.
Advising company.
I can disagree, but because I've heard you argue many times the 70%, and I've never heard even once for a change any argumentation of the basis that you used to come up with the number.
Did you see the numbers? The profits of the company?
See the numbers.
The client,
But
the
what
money
I
that
also
clients
saw-
are paying.
And you may
Did you see
be
that?
interested in seeing this document, and I'm sure that the mediator is going to be interested. This is evaluation of the assets we hold.
Well,
And
I
it
have
actually
all the
gives you-
documentation that we need,
it
and that
gives
is saying that
gives
more than
you
70%
a
of the
precise
profit
idea
goes
of the
from our
cash flow.
clients.
Where
Clients that are
where
my
are
business.
those clients? I don't see them.
Well,
I
you
don't see them. I don't see clients.
Maybe
I
you
don't see
should
clients.
leave the houses and sometime go to the office and see
Really? You have
the
the guts
people.
to tell me this? No, that's absurd.
That's the situation.
So, anyway,
See the accounts.
See what it-
the
okay,
account. Who is paying for our bills?
okay, I'm not going to go.
Yeah, this is the
I'm
point. You are
not
not
going
going.
to go to your road. So, my suggestion is, you don't want to work with me? Fine. I don't want to work with you either. Okay?
Perfect.
We can agree on that. What we can and should agree then is how we part. And I suggest we part with grace, which means sticking to our initial word, which is 50-50.
But the situation changed a lot.
That's the profit division we agreed
But
on.
from the beginning, it was 50-50. I agree. There's no
I
reason
also-
not to agree. But right now, the situation completely changed. I am earning more than 70% of the profit of the company,
No.
and you are getting 50%.
Now,
Doesn't
if I may
make
step
sense.
in, just Mr. Sharp, please consider the initial procedure that we all agreed on. And just as I asked Mrs. Smith while you were talking, I would also advise you to jot down any remark that you have. We will discuss it in detail. Just let Mrs. Smith, should that be all right for you, to continue
Okay.
with her elaboration. So, what else do you wish to share at this point?
I don't think there is much more to say. You see the exact status of our communication, and it's been like that for the last 12 months. So obviously we cannot work together. And I can agree that if you want to put an end to the business, all right. I mean, that's where we are. Fine by me. But what I cannot agree on, and this is my position, we may discuss if we want to continue and how we want to continue, if that be the case. But if we are not to proceed with the business, and if we're to liquidate no need to pay, I'm very, very much, I cannot agree to his 70%. My position is we stick to the division of profits 50-50. That was the initial plan. I'm not requesting for more because I trust that part of that share, I have grounds to ask for more than 50%. But I have the honor to say that this was the initial plan and this still is the plan. So that's my position.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Smith. So I actually thank you both for your patience,
React
for
somehow.
your elaboration. Please.
She's acting like generous lady, but she's
Who I
not
am?
generous. She wants 50% and she deserves 30 maximum. So it's very easy to prove it. She said she has some text
Okay, go
documentation.
prove it in court, okay? I mean, if that's the conversation you want to lead, go prove it in court. Okay, I'm fine.
Well,
Go prove it in court.
then this session is
Well,
useless if
I'm
you're
saying
saying
that
this
we're
way.
coming here to have some discussion, right? I mean, let's
We-
listen to him for a once, okay? He may have
In
something
their
to
opinion,
say.
I just,
No, let's
as you
him,
said,
let
you
him
have the
continue with
documentation. I
with
have the
the
documentation
process.
as well. So let's see the background and say, okay, you are earning this money, you are earning this money.
All right, I know, first of all, I understand that all of this is very, very hard for you after 1 year of turbulent communication or lack of communication to sit here at the same table and to discuss these matters with the help of a third party. I understand it's hard. I also understand that you came here quite prepared with the relevant accountancy documentation that we may easily delve into, should that be the way you perceive this negotiation today. Yet once more, I urge you to stick to the procedure that we chose and to try to go patiently through all the topics. For instance, at some point you started discussing the 30 or 70% or the equal division of the profit from the company should it go liquidated. Yet this is a solution to one of the two scenarios that you perceived, which is either continuing with the company or not. So let's just go patiently through all of that. And before we do it, let me just recap what Mrs. Smith just shared with us. And it is briefly the following. Please correct me if I'm wrong with anything. But from what I grasped, you perceive that there is equal division of the workforce within no need to pay limited. That with view to the sub-branch of the real estate and to some other occupations and obligations of yours, you deserve to receive, should the company be sold, an equal amount of the profit. And you also mentioned, just as Mr. Schaaf, that communication is a very important matter in your commercial cooperation. So, what my experience tells me is that it's also always very good to have some plan or some agenda to give structure to our discussion, to give some firm ground beneath our feet. So to help you with this, I came up with 3 main topics from what you just shared. 3 main topics that seem to be utterly important for the two of you today. And these are the following. First, of course, your shareholding within the company. Then the second topic would be the possibility of future business together. And of course, the third matter, communication, the word we keep repeating throughout this session. So can we consolidate that these 3 topics represent a fair recap of what we ought to discuss today?
I can agree to that, yeah.
So should this agenda be also all right for you, Mr. Schaaf?
Yes, but I don't think we are able to cooperate in the future. But if you want to make the agenda like this, I don't have a problem with that.
We can just put it down on the flip chart just as a possibility.
Okay, then I'm okay with that.
So now that I mentioned the flip chart, one of the most useful tools in the toolbox of the mediator, I would like to write down the 3 main topics in this agenda that we consolidated on. So one of the topics could be the shareholding of the company. I just write down shareholding. And is this visible? Another topic may be the so-called future business together. And in this ambiance of mediation, I take the liberty to underline the word together. And the third theme, the third important topic, which you both considered as being very, very important for you, would be the communication matter. So, as you can see, I'm deliberately abstaining from enumerating the topics. You may conduct your negotiation in any manner you want. This is just to give some structure to your dialogue. So, this is the agenda that we jointly came up with. So now, as I told you, I have not enumerated the topics. It is entirely your joint choice to choose how to proceed and with which topic to enter this discussion. Please.
So may I suggest we start with the communication? I believe this is the root of our problem. I believe communication is also the way to solve our problem. And I think it would be very useful to really have a way of communication, a way of listening to each other, a way of hearing each other, a way of even being heard. So I suggest we spend some time on this, because...
All right, how do you perceive this, Mr. Sharp?
I don't think it's necessary. It used to be very important. We cooperate. Right now we're not cooperating anymore. So...
How are we going to solve the problem then if we're not able to talk?
So you have numbers, I have numbers. We have a mediator, so we can just make some ending with that, just to say how much money I get.
But
That's all.
But
It's about business, just business. We don't need to talk about this thing.
It looks like we have an invisible elephant in the room and we are not allowed to speak about it. Then what are we doing? We're not addressing the issues at hand.
Well, we're speaking about what you do, what I do, what you deserve, what I deserve. That's simple. It's business. This is the thing when that I come. No communication. It's important, I know. It used to be much more important. It used to be friends, but right now, it's not important anymore. Right now, I just want to finish this thing, to sell the company, get the money, put my energy, my time, and the money I earn or I get into something else, something much more important for me, much more personal for me.
Yeah, but we're friends, come on.
We used to be friends. The last year, you saw the last year. Every single conversation.
You're not making it
means-
easier for me.
Okay. I just want to settle it down. I need to settle it down.
You cannot separate things. You cannot separate personal and business. Yes, in an ideal world you can, but they're intermingled into each other. So if you have something personal that I'm not aware of, I cannot be of assistance to you.
But I don't want to talk about this.
Mr. Sharp, I understand it may be difficult to delve into personal matters, and I just wish to underline once more that we are not in a courtroom, that we are in this informal ambiance of mediation where you could disclose anything you deem necessary and it will remain completely confidential. So I know you disregarded at some point the importance of the topic of communication, yet in the very beginning both of you shared that something changed 12 months ago, that something changed dramatically after many years of successful commercial cooperation. So you, Mr. Sharp, from what I grasped, mentioned some personal matters and that you don't have much time right now to devote to the company. Could I just go, if that is comfortable with you, a step further just to make sure that we are on the same page and to ask what it is that, just very generally and broadly, that you need to devote your time and financial resources to presently?
Oh, sorry, Mr. Mediator, but I don't want to talk about this. It's very sensitive for me, and experienced very hard days, or months, maybe a year. So, no, I don't want to. I don't think it's part of this. I just want to finish it, get the money, and work on other things that are much more important for me, maybe the most important thing for me right now. This is
Alright.
my goal, and I don't think it's connected with the business.
I do respect your decision, Mr. Sharp, entirely. I do understand that you may be in a difficult situation you don't want to delve into. Now, what I did tell you in the very beginning is that at any time during the session, you have the option to adjourn to a so-called caucus or a private session with me. And I do believe that now would be a suitable time for us to adjourn to such separate meetings. And how do you perceive this as an option?
Well, I think it would be useful for.
Indeed, I do.
So,
Mr. Sharp, I understand entirely that it may be difficult for you, yet
for sure it's very difficult. But if you think it will help us and lead us to some settlement, and then
indeed.
I will agree.
I think it will be the perfect solution to this impasse and walking in circles that we found ourselves in the very beginning of this discussion. So, Mr. Sharp, I know it's hard for you. Maybe we could, despite this, begin with a separate session with you.
Okay, let's do it.
Thank you. Mr. Sharp, please make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
Thank you once more for choosing to adjourn with me to a caucus, to agreeing to this private session. Now, in the beginning of your negotiation with your partner, Julia, you mentioned that you worked very fine prior to last year when something in your communication occurred that altered your entire commercial relationship, and that ever since things have not been the same. And Julia called this the invisible elephant in the room, and you said that you would abstain from delving into this, as this is a personal matter for you that is very important. So now at the outset of this private session, I want to underline that everything you share here shall be strictly confidential, and I will not disclose it to your partner Julia unless you, of course, instruct me specifically to do so. So now that we are in private, could you elaborate more on what it is that you need to devote your time, your financial resources to presently? What is it that is troubling you so strongly?
Well, I can try, but it's very hard for me.
Please, take your time.
Sorry for being emotional, but it's very...
I understand you completely, Mr. Sharp.
So I'm experiencing very hard times right now. Like last year, it's very, very complicated for me, I would say. I'm divorced and I have a daughter, Lily, which is 10 years old. And 1 year ago, the doctors found that she is seriously ill. So after I found this information, I have only one option, and this is the health of my daughter, for sure. So I tried to find some... sorry, I will drink.
Please.
I tried to find some solution, and they said that I can take care of my child at home, but it takes time, and also some changes in the house must be done. So I said, okay, I will do anything for my child. So I just tried to find some possible solution. It's cost a lot of money. It costs for the medicine, for the doctors, for the adjustments of the house. So the only option for me is to stop the business, sell the business, get the money from that, and take care of my child, for sure. So that is the reason why I need the money. I know that Julia used to be friends, and maybe it's not really family, but they're very close friends. Mm-hmm. And after I realized that this problem, this health complication of my daughter, I wanted to talk to someone. After the beginning was, you can't even imagine what happened if the whole world, the whole life just changed like this in a very, very, very bad way. So after a couple of weeks, I tried to talk to her and just to explain what happened and what I'm experiencing, but it's impossible to talk because we are just arguing all the time. I'm just trying to say something, and she's talking about business, which is not important for me at all right now. I just want to take care of my child, and that's all. So this is it, maybe.
Understand.
You can. So this is sufficient for you.
Mr. Sharp, it is more than sufficient. I just wish to say, firstly, 2 words, and thank you. Thank you for choosing to speak about this personal trouble of yours in a manner that is so direct and so honest. I believe that honesty is the key in mediation, and especially in this case, with you and Julia, who have cooperated successfully as friends for so many years, honesty is the only right path. And I thank you once more for this. You are in the most difficult situation imaginable. And now it is more clear how what motivates you to, and I'm making a short recap here, to choose as an only option to sell the company and to devote all your time and energy to the health care of your daughter, specifically by meeting the doctor bills and also making some necessary house adjustments that you also mentioned. So I said that honesty is the key. Do you think that when we go back to the joint session with Julia, if you choose honesty one more time, and if you share this personal issue with her directly, just as you did right now, this may change the whole climate, the whole negotiation climate in the room. Would that be an option for you?
Well, it's hard to say. I tried a couple of times and we know each other for a very long time, so she has to know that something is happening. I had to change somehow. I'm not joyful anymore, and all this jokes, and it's not working anymore.
Indeed.
So I tried, it didn't work. So if maybe, and it will be hard for me, but if you maybe help me with that, and could you just tell her by yourself?
I will begin presenting this personal matter, yet I feel strongly that it might be best if it comes from you, Mr. Shah.
Mm-hmm. So if you think it would help, I can try it, but still it will be difficult, and I have to say I'm a little bit afraid of the results. It's still hard for me to talk to anyone, especially to Julia, about this matter.
I understand clearly, and with you to that, thank you once more for making this choice of sticking with honesty when dealing with your business partner. So, is there anything else now that we are in private that you may wish to share with me additionally?
I don't think that will be anything else. This is it. This is all. The case is all about this.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. I would ask you for some patience now while I hold the separate meeting with Mrs. Smith.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mrs. Smith, please make yourself comfortable. Thank you for agreeing to adjourn to this caucus. Now, at the outset of our private session, I need to underline that everything you share here shall be regarded by me as strictly confidential, unless, of course, you instruct me to disclose it to Mr. Sharp. So, now that we're in private, is there anything that you would like to discuss? Anything you would like to elaborate on that you didn't have the chance to talk about during the joint session?
Thank you for giving me the chance. Well, in reality, as I said, I do believe we have a communication issue, and I see it very clearly now that he's troubled, and this troubles me as well, because I still deem him as a friend or somebody close. So the mere fact that he wasn't comfortable sharing it out loud is pretty troubling, which indicates to me that we have a lot of work to do in order to reach a sort of a solution. I'm hoping that you manage in the private time that you took with him to really open him up a little bit, because I believe what happened 12 months ago has an impact today. And for me, it would be important to get the understanding so as to be able to find a solution. And we'll see. I remain open for that.
Yeah, it was very transparent in the joint session, and right now it's also quite lucid that for you it is important to clear out the matter of communication firstly. I have positive news with regards to this. Indeed, in the private session, you guessed correctly, Mr. Schaap agreed to discuss some very personal, very emotional matters, to discuss them openly and in an honest fashion with you during the joint session. So I have the strong belief that this would alter instantly the whole climate, the whole negotiation climate in the room. So is there anything else that you want to talk about now that we're in private?
Yeah. Well, first, that's great news. That's great news because I believe that's the key to finding a solution. And as part of the solution, something that I'm ready to share with him is that I'm really, really willing to continue with the business. So my proposal to him would be to buy him out. I see that the business, as much as we have had our challenges in the past, it is something I want to devote myself for, and I clearly see that he needs the money. So from my perspective, we may have a settlement there. It's just a matter of finding the right price for the buying out of his shares.
So from what I grasp, it is an adequate commercial option, a business option for you to buy out the share of Mr. Schaap. And a follow-up question, is it okay for you to present this as an idea during the joint session?
Well, I would first wait for his opening,
I understand.
because I think that might have an impact on whatever solution we come up with. But afterwards, I'll absolutely feel comfortable sharing it with him, proposing it directly with him, and of course, I would rely on your guidance and assistance to help support me in this, and to probably find a way out.
Let's hope you do. Let's hope you do.
Optimistic about it.
So, provision obliges me to ask you whether I could share this with Mr. Schaap.
Yeah, please do so.
Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
let's now go back to the joint session. Thank you.
you.
So, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Schaap, thank you for your patience and also for your very active participation in the private sessions with me. I think those were very useful in that, for instance, with Mr. Schaap, we managed to tackle the very sensitive topic of the personal reasons for his preference to discontinue his commercial activity within No Need to Pay Limited. So, Mr. Schaap, as we discussed, you're in quite a difficult personal situation, and there are matters that you find hard to openly share, yet during the private session you made the firm choice to try to explain the situation to your partner and your friend, I believe, Mrs. Smith. So now that we are back together, could you please elaborate on this?
It will be hard, but I can try at least. So the situation that brought us here, you remember Lily?
Of course. How is Lily?
Not very well.
Speak about her.
Well, the reason is she's not very well. She's ill for a couple of months right now, and right now I'm taking care of her most of all because there are some serious problems. She's
sorry to hear it.
it's a very, very hard situation for me and for her.
I can understand that.
Very so I'm not able and, to be honest, willing to put my energy and money and these things into anything else than Lily. So this is the reason why I have to finish the whole company to get the money, because it will cost a lot of money and personal energy and time and these things. So this is at the beginning of our situation.
So you need the money to support Lily, and you
For
need
sure.
the time
To take care of her, yeah,
take
because
care of
I'm according to the doctors, I'm able to take care of her and not leave in the hospital, but take it to my home. But I need to make some changes, flat or house, and also take care of her by myself. So this is the reason I was not able to tell you and why are you here.
Yeah, and I'm really sorry about the situation, and
Thank you.
I'm sure how difficult it is and how depressed you might have felt, and not sharing it with me, I understand how frustrated you were with the situation, and just let me know what I can do, and then
Well, if we can handle this thing, and just to
I'm sure with
make all these things must be done for Lily, I would be
yeah.
really grateful.
Well, this entirely changes the scene for me. I now feel totally different, and of course we will find a way out so you can take the care that you need to, and at the same time we can just find a solution to the issues that we already raised.
Hope so. Mr. Schaap, I do thank you for speaking about this in such an honest manner, and Mrs. Smith, thank you for mirroring this with so much empathy. Now, to give you some structure, from what you shared, on the one side, an important topic presently in your discussion would be the money matters regarding the healthcare of Lily, and also the necessary house adjustments and the resources that need to be allocated for that. So this could be one of our 2 new topics on the agenda. And also for Mr. Sharp, from what I understand, your most preferable option and business path would be to discontinue your activity with the company. So maybe a second topic could be the company with 2 possible commercial scenarios before both of you. One of them being to sell the company, and the other being to, and with this I'm nodding to what we discussed in our private session, Mrs. Smith. The second option could be to not sell the company, and there you perhaps would need to elaborate on the specific conditions under which this business scenario will transpire. Is this proposal for a new agenda satisfying for you at this point?
Yeah, I just want to make one side comment, maybe just one addition to this. I already spoke with Georgi about it during the private session, but what I can propose as a way forward is to buy your shares out. I think that may be the fastest way forward, and it would allow you to focus immediately on the most important thing, which is Lily. So take it as a proposal from me as to the options, and I would like maybe to explore this a little bit further if you agree that such a course of
Well, it's new information for me. To be honest, I don't too much care where do I get the money. I just need to take care of my child. That's all. That's the only thing I need and want. But if it would be suitable for all of us, then I would be happy if you continue with the company, because we worked for years in that, and
absolutely.
it's working very well. So I would be happy to let it be led by you for sure. But
Great.
it depends on the conditions. But I have to the final settlement that I need the money and arrange. You
said it depends on the conditions, so let us explore together these conditions. And I again turn to the flip chart just to jot down the ideas for topics that we brainstormed. So from what we just discussed, I believe we could consolidate on the topic of share transfer, and specifically on the price for that. So here I turn to you, Mr. Sharp, and I pose the following question. You mentioned that you need to meet some medical expenses on the one hand, on the other hand some costs for house adjustments. Could you present to us specifically the exact numbers and for each of these different obligations?
So the obligations right now are 2 of them, and the first one is the doctors, which will cost 30,000 euros.
So I put down bills and the sum of 30,000 euros.
And also we have to pay in a couple of days or weeks 75,000 euros for the medication and other related things.
Okay, so we could put down, if this is okay with you, medication, and the number is 75,000 euros.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the last and the biggest are the house adjustments, which will probably cost around 220,000 euros.
Okay, so we can write down house adjustments, 220,000
Yes. 1,000 euros.
All right. Well, you are the business people, so it is your task now to talk in numbers. So, Mrs. Smith, how do you perceive these expenses that Mr. Sharp presented?
Well, I see that the expenses total to the number of 325,000 euro, if I'm correct in my
Indeed.
calculations. And unfortunately, I don't have that amount of money. I don't have 325,000. The biggest that I can pay to you is 275,000. So there is a difference of 50,000 that we are apart from each other.
But, as
But
you
what
see,
can we do with that difference? I mean, is there any way we can?
well, this the expenses I have to spend for sure.
So when do you need the money for? When do you need it by? I mean, is it due now or you can?
The first two, yes, the bills must be
Okay.
paid in 1 month or something like that.
Okay.
And the house adjustment, it will take some time, definitely. So I have to prepare the house for Lily like in half a year or something like that. But part of the house is supposed to be done in 1 month maximum, just to take her home.
So within a month you need 105,000 euros.
Yeah, that's the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And make the first changes in the flat. It will be like month and a half. But not that's not the biggest reconstruction, but part of it must be done in
Yeah.
1 month, 2 months or something like that. But it will cost some money.
So, but just for me to understand, and you know, real estate management, I'm in that business. How did you come up with the number? I mean, did you have your contractor that
Not yet,
has given you the?
As you can hopefully understand, I was completely depressed and I'm taking care of Lily. So I just
Yeah.
asked some friends or some companies, show them what I have to.
Why don't I help you here? I mean, that's my field, that's my expertise. I
Well,
mean,
it's new information.
this is absolutely,
no.
I'd love to help you. And quite honestly, I think that this, I know your house, I think this amount for refurbishment is a little bit overrated, it could be.
Well, I'm not professional in this thing.
So
I
I
just
think we can reduce
need to
the
sell
actual
it.
number. So if I got my, well, the partnering countries, companies that we actually use for our business, I think we can pretty much reduce the number and then.
well, to be
working with-
honest, I don't too much care who is
It's-
going to do it, and I don't need the money. It's not
Yeah.
money for me.
Yeah.
It's money for the adjustment. So if the changes will be done
Well, then I
somehow,
think,
I don't care how much that does it cost.
I actually right now I'm thinking I have like 3 companies that are pretty good. I'm sure they'll make a great job, and actually the pricing would be far lower than this number. I'm
So-
certain about it.
If you arrange it, if you are able to
Yeah.
assist me in this or arrange this thing
Absolutely.
or
I'll do it
make
with
these
Lily as
changes,
well.
then I don't have a problem with that.
Super.
It must be done. This is the only option and only goal I have.
So then, what I will need from you is the floor plans and the specifics that you
adjustments.
need the house to be compliant
Well,
with.
I have it here, so I can send it immediately
Okay,
after our
just
meeting.
send me-
I will send it
just
to you.
Send me the floor plans and
But
requirements.
It's supposed to be
and
done very quickly. Like
Okay,
we
of
have to
course.
start in 1 month or something.
So
like
maybe
time
you
is of the
should
essence. Yeah.
fix some deadlines, for instance, and appoint
Mhm.
another meeting.
Well, I would send it immediately. The information. I don't know how much time do the companies or your colleagues.
So
or
then I
whatever.
suggest, and the mediator is actually kindly inviting us to do is, I will arrange all the contracting companies that we can use. I will speak with them. I will send to them the floor plans and the additional information that you sent me.
Mhm.
I will discuss it internally. It may be that they need to come and see the house just for a better understanding of what exactly needs to be changed. And let's meet 1 week from now with the concrete information,
No problem.
specific deadlines, designs, so that you can approve it and then we can go ahead.
I'll be happy to.
Now, first of all, just a step back. It's extraordinary how you face these communication discrepancies for 1 year, for whole 12 months. You could not communicate properly, and now just after some time in this mediation environment, you're discussing concrete proposals. So let me just make sure that we're all on the same page with regards to these proposals. So what you agreed on while analyzing the scenario in which Mr. Sharp's share is transferred to Mrs. Smith is the following. Mrs. Smith would pay the amount of 105,000 euros, which would be due immediately, as far as I understand. And also she would undertake the obligation to assist Mr. Sharp in the refurbishment and the necessary house adjustments in the house of Mr. Sharp within the next month. So you would contact, you two said that you would take this task home, and you would contact the 3 partnering companies you're using to discuss the floor plans which Mr. Sharp would immediately provide you with, and also the additional specifications that are required for your analysis. And you would present Mr. Sharp with an option, yet the cap sum, the total amount which you could not exceed, is the total sum of 275,000 euros. Is this correct?
That's totally correct from my side. Of course, I assume that if the total refurbishment is far lower than 275, then we just go with whatever the amount is.
Is this agreeable to you, Mr. Sharp?
Well, I have to have it done. This is the most important thing for me. So if it's going to be done, then I'm okay with that.
All right, then thank you once more. And I brought to the table the topic of specific deadlines and when your next meeting ought to be. You agreed to meet in 1 week. So my next question to both of you is, do you need my assistance and my presence during this subsequent meeting, or do you think you could reason out the matters of house adjustments on your own?
Well, thank you for the offer, but I think with Julia we are able, hopefully we are able to settle it
that
down.
will be fine. Thank
All
you
right.
again for asking. We'll keep you informed of whatever we
I would be looking
with.
forward to,
yeah.
to seeing what you have agreed upon in the end. And now I want to thank you, Mrs. Smith and Mr. Sharp, and to wish, firstly, to Mrs. Smith, broad commercial horizons before
Thank you.
No Need to Pay Limited. And to Mr. Sharp, on the other hand, I wish sincerely a speedy and full recovery of young Lily. Thank you both. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
55,679 euro, and that's the best that I can do. That's the price, and this is without.
Hello, Mr. Georgi Elenko. Oh, Mrs. Smith, yes, hello. Oh, Mr. Sharp, I can hear you too in the distance, yeah. So, how are things going 9 days after the end of our mediation session? You did agree. You agreed on the house adjustments, the specific sums. Good, excellent. I'm very, very happy and rewarded to hear that. Thank you. Well, Godspeed to you both, and thank you to you too. Thank you. Good luck.